Greetings, you of the tubes. I am Jeff Doc Brown Murchison, Doc 2000 Brown when someone has beaten me to Doc underscore Brown, wherever the name is registered. I was the writer on Point of View. This mod came out in 2003, and I've been thinking about doing sort of dev walkthrough, dev commentary for it. Just decided the 20th anniversary was as good an excuse as any. I have been putting this off, though, so I'm literally recording this on New Year's Eve, 2023. It may or may not get uploaded today. It might not get uploaded until early 24, but it's the thought that counts. So, before we get started on the game proper, let's hop into the hazard course, and I'll show you why. Oh, and by the way, I do need to apologize. I'm not a professional at this, so my audio recording equipment isn't the greatest, and on top of that, if you notice the resolution is narrower than it should be, that's because I'm running the original version of Half-Life here, as in the CD version. This is not the Steam version of the game. I apologize for that, like I said, but just gonna have to make do with it. And this here, in a moment, in the tutorial, or sorry, hazard course, sort of a tutorial actually, is going to show you in the game the journal system that we came up with. I guess I'll go ahead and read this out for those of you that like to listen to videos rather than watch them, so if you don't, I just jump ahead, but in the meantime, this is the first of the 40 journals for what I pronounce as Zont. I don't know if it's humanly possible to pronounce the name, but in any event. Point of View features a journal element that catalogs your character Zont's thoughts throughout his journey. This is so that those of you who simply want to play through the game and not have to stop to deal with scrolling text or long cutscenes are more than free to. If you're interested in the full story, however, and want to hear an alien's take on everything, then this feature is for you. There are 40 entries total, this counting is the first one. All the entries are triggered near their subject matter, but not all are on your immediate path. Look around a bit for some of the more elusive ones. Don't worry, none of them are out and out hidden. See if you can find all 40. If you want to get the full story, you'll have to. Every new entry will be indicated with a story icon in the upper right corner. Hit the story key to read what Zont has to say. The icon will remain as long as there are unread segments, each of which has an asterisk by its title. Now go on, have some fun playing as an alien, and remember, it's all a matter of perspective. This section of the game is just a quick demonstration of the basics. You've got your character's electrical attack and claws, the healing pools, which I can actually demonstrate by getting damaged here. Ow. It works, it just works very slowly. It is kind of annoying, but it is what it is. If I'm not mistaken, I believe that over here, Dave, the maker of this mod, it's DAV, I'm not sure if it's pronounced Dave or Dav, like David. He is from Brazil. So, maybe it's pronounced David there, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm just going to say Dave, because that makes the most sense to me, or at least for consistency's sake throughout this video. And if I can remember where it's at in here, I do apologize. I should note, I have not played this since it came out in 2003. So, this is me playing the game after 20 years of having never touched it. The whole point of this was to show the aliens trying to understand human technology, like how the doors work, how the keycards work, that sort of thing. Aliens practicing target practice. If I'm not mistaken, I think there is actually a key card you can pick up. Yeah, there we go. To show how those doors work. Basically trying to show the aliens, how do the aliens know how any of our technology works for the game proper. And I think maybe the only other thing here in the hazard course is maybe the teleporters. Again, it's been 20 years. I apologize. That don't work. Alright, let me try this one over here. I'm going to try not to botch this jump. remember now. That exits the hazard course. Alright, let's start the game proper. Boy, I'm going to do it on medium, and let's just hope my skills have not atrophied with age. If they have, we'll deal with that when the time comes. So, I'm not sure if you know the backstory of Point of View, but so Dave, the maker of the mod, is also the maker previously of Azure Sheep. And that was his take on the idea of Half-Life through Barney's eyes, way before there I am, Jeff Dr. Murchison, along with Tobin and Dave. I'll get back to them in a second. So yeah, he made Azure Sheep, which was his take on essentially what Blue Shift was, before Blue Shift ever came out. Then he decided to follow up with this game, or this mod, playable from one of the Alien perspectives, one of the Mortagon's perspectives, and I was hired, essentially, to write the story for it. I had some involvement in some mods that never saw the light of day on the story front. Most notably, there was Resident Unreal, which was an Unreal Resident Evil mod, and there was also another Resident Evil mod, this was for Half-Life, called Resident Evil Escape, also never saw the light of day. But, you know, me working on the stories for those, I guess I kind of was heard about, and so Dave asked me to write the story for this, and we came up with the idea of doing it via the log system, so that, as it explained in the first log, that you wouldn't have to sit through cutscenes, you wouldn't have to be forced to read things if you didn't want to, so if you played the game before, you could always just skip over them on a subsequent playthrough, not waste your time. Yeah, so that was made primarily by Dave. Oh, hang on, gotta read this for you. This is number 2, Introductions. I'm the one known as Zont, child, citizen, and follower of the great Nihilov, if it's pronounced that way. In outward appearance, I seem to be a mere worker, but such deception is part of my design. Through the blessing of my father, my leader, and master, I was chosen to be amongst the gifted, a super worker. I'm smarter, stronger, and faster than most of my kind. I exist as I do because of the Great Invasion. As of dawn, the great Nihiloth turned to the ancient prophecies and found a passage indicating the invaders' own strength could be turned against them. The inhabitants of the border world, these so-called humans, had broken the natural order by adapting the environment to their needs instead of evolving. They achieved this unnatural effect through technology. While their overseer caste is traditionally the most intelligent one, technology is so radically different from our own evolutionary path that no existing Zenizin was capable of grasping it. So the great Nihiloth turned to the birthing incubators and channeled his wisdom, his will, and his power into the creation of a new subcaste of extraordinarily gifted Zenizins. It is in our very nature to be malleable. I will get back to that in just a second. Sorry. I was saying a moment ago that Dave made this mod. He's the primary developer behind it, with assistance mainly from me on the story and playtesting, and also Toadman, who helped out with the playtesting and whatnot. There were others involved. I believe, if I'm not mistaken on this point, that the others contributed to Azure Sheep in terms of various content like voice lines and models and whatnot. I think those are just reused here. I'm not sure if any of those other people were actively involved with the making Point of View, but in the very least, the big three, if you want to call us that, was me. Well, sorry, first and foremost, Dave, and as well as me and Tobin. I never actually had any interaction with Tobin, so I'm not sure how involved he was, but I'm going to assume, based on the level of credit he receives in opening credits, that he was probably heavily involved with playtesting, if nothing else. Probably also a lot of the models and whatnot, I believe, was his major contribution. My primary interactions with the game, or with the mod, were with Dave himself, and sorry. Like I said, it's been 20 years since I played this. I'm trying to remember exactly where I need to go, what to do. I do apologize if I, again, not a professional YouTuber, so I don't have the natural cadence, you know. I will absolutely get quiet from time to time because I don't know where I'm going, or just can't think of anything to say, honestly. And yeah, I do wonder, insofar as, like, I know professionals are, have a knack for this. So I was like, let's see if I can actually keep up a steady stream of consciousness throughout this whole process. Oh, right. So, plot-wise, what we've got going on here, and I should have touched on this, and I'm going to stop before I progress any further. Plot-wise, the idea here was that, like, Dave came up with the idea that Zant here was not a regular worker, he was a super worker. So we came up with the idea of these denizens being sort of like a basic sort of genetic stock that is then, like, through Nihilant's, like, telepathy or what have you, forces you to evolve a particular way. So you get workers, you get the warriors, and the overseers, and so on and so forth. And then the characters like Zant were a new class that looks the same. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even realize we had another one of these. I will read this. Research Associates. Those suspension fields up ahead, these, are holding a pair of native creatures known as spheres. In addition to holding the spheres aloft, the suspension fields supply energy to an engineered organism developing the spheres that keeps them drugged and nourished. This is a necessary precaution. The fact that spheres can build up and fire an electric charge with great rapidity. These creatures' unique defensive method is in fact the basis. I can't scroll there. Basis of many of our cast's weaponry, including my own. By taking the appropriate genetic material and mixing it with base forms that the great Nihilonth bestowed upon us the same ability. Something was lost in the transition, however, and as such we lack the sphere's aggressive rate of fire. Spheres are additionally capable of gravity-independent movement, coated in a metallic carapace, and become explosive upon dying. This makes them curiously similar to much of human technology, and is the primary reason why I keep them here. This facility is in part my lab. The half-dozen other super workers that exist are stationed at each of the other productive facilities hidden around Zen, where they too are researching the creation of XTBUs, Zen Technobiologic Units. Just up ahead lays my own experiment, accordingly known as the Zen Technobiologic Sphere. I should mention, so these spheres, the XTBUs, some of the story ideas themselves were, like Zant's, his name, the super workers, the XTBUs, all this stuff, as Dave had already come up with when he started making the mod. I was just brought in to actually flesh out the story and explain these things, why they are the way they are. What I should mention is, a moment ago you heard gunshots, and that's because this facility is coming under attack by humans who are going to steal Zant's primary research projects. So let's proceed ahead. If I know where ahead is. Here we go.
This should just... Sam, what is it? I've got to get out of here. Get out!
There we go. Okay, story. So, number 4, slight problem. No. Humans have somehow infiltrated the facility and they've stolen the XTS. That's his specific project here. I must retrieve it or my life is forfeit. See what happened to the workers who failed to stop the humans struck down by the overseers. If you're paying attention to that. They were lucky death embraced them as quickly as it did. If the XTBS, the sole reason I exist, falls into the hands of our enemy, I will have more to fear than death. Once informed, the great Nihilonth will reach out with his mind and quell me. The collars that we wear are actually living symbiotes that are capable of controlling the chemicals in our bodies. Overseers in the great Nihilonth can command them to blot out pain when we are hurt, make us happy when we help the cause, and make us sad when we don't do our part, among many other abilities. Simple-minded creatures, they bow without question to these telepathic wishes. If a worker gives in to his rebellious urges or fails the cause in any substantial way, the great Nihilonth alone can instruct the collar to overload our bioelectric organs, an act known as quelling. While we are resistant to a great deal of voltage, we are not completely immune, and a quelled worker will quickly find himself writhing in agony as his organs melt and his flesh burns. I cannot let these humans escape, or I may find myself suffering such a fate.
Run, man, run!
I may be getting ahead of them here accidentally. Prodigy progeny. It appears that humans have taken the XTBS aboard that transport. I must go after it, even if it means leaving the relative safety of this. Luckily, I possess a decided edge in combat that will be most useful in this situation. One of the unique abilities that the Great Hellhound gifted us superworkers with was the ability to heal ourselves via our electrical attack. Technically speaking, we do not fling the charge energy at our targets, but form a connection with them. Two beams are created, one from us and one from them, each meeting halfway, faster than our eyes can perceive. Both are actually shocked as a result, but we can resist it, whereas the beams cannot. The key to all of this is that energy is transferred through the beams. Normally such energy merely dissipates, but we have been created with a special organ that absorbs this energy, converts it into a usable form, and puts it towards healing our wounds. This breakthrough is so recent that only super workers possess these organs. Warrior workers, while relatively new as well, began to incubate shortly before the discovery, and thus, in my mind at least, are somewhat inferior. Warrior workers that you'll see later. They're a different color of Vortigaunts that I believe Dave made for Azure Sheath. Headshots are more effective than body shots. Let's just see if my reflexes after all this time are good enough to not die repeatedly. And this whole section of the game was definitely inspired by, at the very end of the original Half-Life, you see the aftermath of sort of a battle in Zen. And we just kind of wanted to actually show that happen, rather than just what happens after the fact. Ow, 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 ow. Battlefield Zen, as I hinted. As I suspected, the humans, upon discovering this invaluable production facility, are staging a large-scale offensive. The Overseers are marshalling our forces in through teleportation, however, so there will be some fierce fighting ahead. With the Overseers busy coordinating the battle, they won't yet be able to tell the Great Hellhound that the XTBS has been stolen. That buys me some time. Is this transport here the one I'm after? No, but it did pass through here. Unlike regular workers, I possess some telepathic abilities with which I can track the XTBS and perceive many things beyond our normal senses. For instance, I can tell that there are many Stuka-bats roosting in these caves. These creatures were an old experiment of ours that modified the native mantas, harmless creatures that congregate in flocks, and combined them with the sphere's explosive chemicals. The result was an animal that could powerfully detonate itself at will. Stuka-bats can be used as weapons if knocked from their perches. Most of the time they'll be stunned by the blow, so one can easily claim them for personal use, but occasionally they'll retain their consciousness and kamikaze any living form nearby. Otherwise, they retain the docility of the mantas from which they originated. Caution must be used in angering and turning them loose, however, for if no target is in sight, they will turn back on their caster. I will save, and then see if I can't get any of these without getting blasted. Sorry. That'll do. One of the new weapons in the mod. Cool. Okay. Those were at 3. Alright, gotcha. Sorry, I should have been watching that. I can't see that far. And unfortunately, Zont's night vision is a pretty short range effect. Are you serious? Stop it. I should also mention, if I overcharge my attack, I believe I hurt myself. I can demonstrate that when I'm near a healing pool. Don't want to risk it right now.
Stop!
I'm gonna have to boost the gamma on this, because my eyes are not as good as they used to be, but we'll deal with that later. We'll deal with that between videos. There are more Stuka Bats. I should have shot them down for funsies. Running. Sorry. No. That would actually does, I'm pretty sure, replace there, so you could bring them down on the soldiers. I just unfortunately couldn't see them with the lower gamma, or the higher gamma, lower gamma, whichever. At least I could see them clearly. Alright. I'm gonna go a little further here. No healing bombs yet.
Serious.
Ow. There you are. Alright, I'm gonna test the theory. Hang on. I guess I gotta explain it first and then test the theory. Advantage Zen. Healing pools are miraculous natural occurrences here in Zen. A rare microscopic organism settles in freestanding pools such as this one. While it waits for the arrival of other more sophisticated life form, it reproduces asexually until its habitat is brimming with its genetic twins, feeding on whatever other microscopic life can be found. As soon as the visiting creature exposes itself to the liquid, the organism will go to work, eating away at wasted materials such as dead skin, dried blood, and so forth. In exchange for the food, the organisms repair damaged areas by excreting antibiotics, painkillers, and many other useful chemicals that accelerate our natural healing properties. A quick dip in the healing pool can repair damage that would otherwise have taken days to naturally heal. It is these microscopic organisms that are found throughout the bodies of superheroes. The special organ we have converts captured energy from our electrical attachment into a form instantly absorbed by the organisms, which in turn go into a healing frenzy. Now the damage they repair in such a short time is remarkable. Also, I'm terrified that I'm going to accidentally miss a journal entry somewhere, because I'm not exactly paying attention to the numbers as I go, so if I do miss one, I apologize. But let's see if I can hurt myself. Okay, no, it doesn't actually hurt. Sorry, I couldn't remember. 20 years again.
It can't get any worse than this.
I hear you. There you are. That, I believe, is the APC we are chasing. You may have heard it before now without actually getting a good look at it, but Dave actually did a very good job of dangling the carrot in front of the player throughout the mod, because it kind of like constantly indicate where you're supposed to be going, what you're doing, what you're pursuing. So props for that. I will praise Dave beginning to end throughout this, so get used to it. remember if I'm safe, and then let's see what happens. I believe we're on the other side where the ABC used to be a second ago. No point in shattering boxes, because there's no weapons, or health pickups or anything, as a Vortigaunt. Lovely lighting. Okay. That's one. That's two. That's three. Ow! I let it go. That's four. I'll get to that note in a second. There's a healing pool over here. That's five. What the log will say in just a second is that you can only restore health with your electric attack against organic enemies, not electronic. As such. Still life. Damn this accursed technology. These soulless sentries spring to unholy life the second they detect our movement. Devilry, devilry, devilry. What's worse, I cannot tap them for any energy. Only connection with an organic entity produces the right kind of free energy to convert to health, nor is any of the sentient weaponry smart enough to realize to attack them. Sentient weaponry, such as the Stugabats. A different tactic will be required for such abominations. Deep telepathic inhalation. Yes, this was the transport that held the XTBS. This was the transport for the XTBS. The interior is rich with its signature. Unfortunately, the trail leads inside this human facility. Not only is the entrance blocked by material far too strong for me to break down, but I highly doubt I will be able to benefit from the open fellow denizens once I step within. There must be some way to get inside. The XTBS would not normally give off a signature strong enough to sense over the kind of distance I'm tracking it from, but when I begin my experimentation, I decided to risk nothing. Just in case, I designed the organism in case of the XTBS to amplify its signature. Seeing as how the humans miraculously found a facility and made it, stealing the XTBS as their top priority, however, leads me to believe I inadvertently clued the humans into this location. No, I hope this does not occur to anyone else. I should note, too, also in these logs, writing essentially a journal like this is not playing to my strengths. I'm more of a, visual storyteller. Show, don't tell. And it's really hard to do anything but tell in a journal form like this. However, there are some things I have done, such as, you'll notice oftentimes things are repeated in three. There'll be the same word three times or three different things said, like, going back, father, leader, master, right? The repetition of three, based on the idea that with Vortigaunts having 3 arms, that the number 3 might be significant to them culturally, so just a little thing we threw in there to do more than just tell all the time in the journal.
That doesn't sound right.
Interestingly, so since Point of View was made after Azure Sheep, and Azure Sheep was made before Blue Shift, the story of Point of View interlocks with Half-Life, Opposing Force, and Azure Sheep, not Blue Shift. So we had to figure out a way to make the stories intersect with 2 of the 3 canonical games, but ignore the third one in favor of a mod, which was interesting. You'll actually see the interlinking sections as they come up. I'll point them out. But thus far, I believe, if I remember this right, the story here takes place, starts before the events of any of the other games. Half-Life, Blue Shift, sorry, not Blue Shift, Half-Life, Azure Sheep, or Opposing Force. Alright, let's see if I can remember what to do. Because I'm doing this all, well, I won't say off of memory, but I will say off of clues from the game itself. Thinking. Locked doors. Unless it's a vent, maybe. Doesn't look like it, no. Alright, let me check. Back here. Remember, this is more of a developer's commentary than a walkthrough, so excuse my fumbling. We'll get there eventually, but not this way. Alright, it's gotta be this way. That door, that door, that door, that door. Car. Which is interesting, we can go under, but not gonna read too much into that. And then this. It's not a key reader, nor is there a key card anywhere. That was neat, but not helping. Well, this is frustrating. And not a good look for me. This fell down. That's crawling. Oh, I'm stupid. It fell down, but I can keep going, can't I? Yep. Not happy to be around all the explosives. Saving.
Die, green thing.
Well, poop. One annoying thing about the electric attack, in terms of trying to like restore your health, you often end up aiming for a headshot and then getting hit and flinching up right as you fire, so you shoot over the top of their head. Kind of annoying, but you just gotta deal with it. Go there in a second.
Stand back.
Come there in a second. this goes anywhere. Nope, that's the door where the truck is. Okay. Coming on over here. Reading a note. Sibling rivalry. These blue symbiote humans are much more rare than their orange counterparts. Odd to see such large numbers of them together like this. They're only encountered within human facilities and seem to be used primarily for defensive purposes. Their superiority in combat over their orange brethren, but fewer numbers makes them similar in many regards to our newly born warrior workers. The worker caste grows the fastest in the birthing incubators because of our similarity to the base form. The fewer the improvements necessary, the shorter the development time. Because of the urgency of our conflict with the humans, this is why super workers aren't based off of overseers, and warrior workers aren't based off of warriors. It was deemed more efficient to go the faster route than risk any further delay. Warrior workers can be distinguished from regular workers by their magenta skin tone and improved rate of fire. The coloration change comes from mixing in a little chum toad genetic material, the purpose of which is to transfer the chum toad's legendary tempers. Because all workers have the occasional rebellious urge, a genetic fluke we've yet to solve, overseers keep an especially close eye on warrior workers. Super workers need to be monitored so closely. Coupled with our superior intelligence and ability to heal, we are far more self-sufficient than those castes below us. What we're doing here, narratively, is the Vortigaunts, or the Zenizens in general, don't understand. Alright, they assume when they see humans. Oh, well, okay, here we go. The coloration, they're assuming the coloration indicates, like, classes, the same way, like, the Vortigaunts are associated with green, the magenta colored warrior workers, etc. So the orange HEV suits are worn by scientists, blue are worn by security guards, and they think they're like two different castes, two different species. They don't realize it's just colored HEV suits. It does denote security versus scientist, but they're trying to wrap their way of thinking around what they're seeing. That's a shotgun. A lot of doors. Guy with a gun. Let me deal with guy with a gun first.
Stop!
Okay. Closer than I'd like health-wise. If you've played Azure Sheep, the design ethos there was a bit more open and less detailed, in my opinion. And it's actually was really cool to see as I was playtesting this while Dave was making it. How much more, maybe not detail is the right word, but it just feels like there's a lot more in the world design. It feels a lot more realistic than just big open rooms with not much to them. But you will see a lot of doors. And Dave's good at the very least about trying to mark doors that are openable versus those that are not openable. Ignore what I just said. But in most cases, you know, a lot more detail, which can, of course, lead to a little more confusion. But yeah, also like just like world building. Like this is obviously an armory, for instance. Over here we saw a hazard suit for a security guard versus HV suits for scientists. Versus, oh, this is where I came in. Observation room. There. 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 There are also non-combatants NPCs that won't fight you. They're just useful for health. Excuse me. Thank you. Who squeaked? Somebody squeaked. Ah! Come here. Honestly, I was thinking that was like a chum toad, like another of the sentient weapons I could pick up. There are actually quite a few new to Half-Life, let's say, enemies, cut enemies, that were introduced in both Azure Sheep and here in point of view, I came in 2, I believe. Yeah? I came in 2? Yeah, I came in 2. So I can go 1 or 3. Okay. 3 it is. I'm trying to get through the first chapter of the game, or second chapter, maybe second, but before this video, so bear with me, we're getting there. Well, actually, hang on, let me take a quick check at my timer here.
I don't think so.
Well, okay. I think I might cut it. Shut. Female security guards. By the way, those were added in Azure Chief and continue here into POV. But as I was saying, I think I'm actually gonna stop here for now and pick it up again in the next video. So thank you for joining me so far, and if this is your thing, I will see you in the next video.